Hey everybody, I'm Carla.
And I'm Mary.
It's not true. She's not married.
I'm Tiana.
And this is another episode of Not Just Lip Service. Today, I'm excited. This will be a good one. I think people will enjoy it. I'm here with our Director of Marketing, Tiana Tim, who is the mastermind behind everything that we do. So all the people who are like, you and Mary are so funny. I'm like, I'm glad you guys like our marketing because it's not me at all. It's this girl right here. Tiana has been instrumental in helping us get together everything from our memberships to our packages. It's really good for me and her to have the conversation we're going to have today because I'm always like, that's too cheap. And she's always reminding me of what is a good, balanced in between for packages, memberships, and then how we can afford them. Because the prices are so expensive. So it's how do we bundle those together? Like, let's just start from the beginning. First off, marketing wise, what in your opinion is the key to marketing in the med spa industry? Like, what is it that you do, like, for us? Like, what is the strategy behind it?
Are you, like, for customers in general coming in for services or?
Yeah.
I would say coming up with plans.
Okay, hang on. We're going to start over and let me tell you why.
Say,
it's okay. No, it's okay. So, like, social media. Yeah. And then you're just gonna talk about how consistency on social media, like, it's just what you're doing. Like, yeah. And so this conversation, instead of being like, so you mean like for, like, you could just roll with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because for them,
they have no idea.
Yeah. And so when you're like, well, you're talking about for customers or stuff, like, imagine they're listening to a podcast.
Okay.
And the clarity would be there. It's you're totally fine. And I'll email Jonathan about where we're starting. So we'll start over, and then again, just roll into literally what you're doing. And I'm just trying to. And if you don't get it or something, I'll guide you back or be like, yeah, that's very good about in terms of how we actually acquire customers. But, like, at its base, like, what is med spa? Like, what should med spas be doing to market? Like, what and then community events, social media, like, just the shit we do. Yeah. Being smart about, and I'll guide you through some of this, like being smart about, just because someone comes to you and has a $250 sponsorship to get in some magazine, is that your customer base?
Yeah.
Or not? Like, it's literally the stuff you know. Okay. Okay, we'll do it again. Okay. Hey guys, I'm Carla.
And I'm Mary.
No, she's not.
I'm Tiana.
And this is another episode of Not Just Lip Service. I'm thrilled to be here today with our Director of Marketing, Tiana Tim, who is the mastermind behind all things marketing for us in Smiley Aesthetics. Her and her kind of counterpart, Paige, are people who are just running everything in the background. So anytime someone says to me, oh, y'all XYZ, you're funny, you're not funny, this, that, the other, I'm like, yeah, it's not me. It's Tiana. So excited to be here today. We're going to go into some stuff around memberships and packages and just really just marketing in general for the med spa and what Tiana has done for us and what her thoughts are about strategy. And, do you go with a marketing company? We've talked about that a lot versus in-house, but not so much that is like what we're doing in-house to market our services. And then we're going to get into a little bit of how we are able to have our clients afford them because we have expensive services. So let's start with our services and how flipping expensive they are, and just what do you do to market our services? And by that I mean we have so many. So what is the gold standard for med spas to get their services out there in your opinion?
I would say making a presence on social media.
Okay.
And just letting your customers know what services you have, and then also educating them on what they are, what they do, the benefits, and actually letting them know, like, is this the right service for you? Like, getting them in the spa and actually going through everything and doing a full-on, I think, consultation first.
Yeah.
And then saying, like, okay, is Agnes the best or is Scarlett? And actually going through, and then after you talk about that, going through the payment process.
Yeah. Okay, so you went through, before you keep going, she went through a lot right there. I mean, Tiana knows what she's doing. So let me back up a little bit. You mentioned about social media.
Yes.
So, and then I think you mentioned a key thing that you have been really adamant on, and Mary's really adamant on, is education. So talk about that just a little bit more. What do you mean by education when it comes to social media?
I think you need to really go through, when you're talking about the services, like what the benefits are, maybe like what what to expect when you're doing it, your concerns also, like some people my age, like in your 20s, 30s, might not be looking for the same service as someone in their 40s, 50s. You know what I mean? Just talking about their concerns, and then also like what they want, what their end goal is for their, you know what I mean? Everyone's different. So seeing what they really want, and I think each person it's case by case for everyone.
Yeah, I love that too. It's case by case. Like that's a really good way to say it. There is not a one size fits all. Like Botox is what it is, but that still doesn't mean it's a one size fits all. We have our FDA dosing, but it doesn't mean that everybody wants to have a full dosing, which we are a big fan of if you want the full effect and all those things, but you're going to have that person every now and then that doesn't necessarily want the full effect. So like, and Juvederm fillers is another great example. You have some people who literally are just going to want some plump in their lip, like literally I want to hydrate my lips, and then you have some that, you know, we have to be like, we can't do anymore. Like we can't put any more in your lips or it's literally going to go up into your eyeballs. Like there's that much filler there. So I think the case by case is a really, really good, good thing.
Or I feel like even comparing like someone coming in, talking about their body and like what they want, like is cool sculpting good, or would be our weight loss program? Like figuring out like what.
Because that's not a one size fits all. So on the front end of that, before they get into the spa, it's trying to educate people on the fact that there's a treatment plan. And here's like all the services, sure, but getting in for a consultation is key. I think that's what I hear you saying. It's like getting them in and having them understand that. Now there's people that are just going to be like, I just want Botox. I know what I want. Great. Be a tox only. There's a lot of spas out there, and we can go right into this. There's a lot of people out there that are like, tox only clients are the worst. And I'm like, I don't really understand that, honestly, when you can get them in and get them out. But there are those clients, and then there's the ones who want it all. So like, how do you feel about tox only clients? I mean, this is kind of a business question.
I would think one thing that's worse is when someone comes in for tox and is like, this is what I want. And they're trying to tell you, I mean, I'm not a provider, but like if someone came in and was trying to tell me how to do my job, I'd be like, okay, well, I mean, always make the customer happy, but still, I think
that's a fine balance. We just had an example of that the other day in one of our spas where somebody reached out and was literally like, no, and it was like 21 units. It was like the most random.
It was like, I want 23 units.
Yeah, 23. And it's like, 20. Oh, really? Where'd you get that? It's like, you don't tell me how to treat my wrinkles on my face. And I was like, we were like,
it was crazy.
No, we actually do tell you how to use the prescription medicine that we're going to put in your face. So it's dealing with all types of clients. And like Tiana said, the customer for sure always has to be happy, but there's that fine balance of this is medicine. And so education, to circle this back around, education on the front end is key. So, okay, in a post, let's talk about that then. So in a post, if you're going to make a post about lips, like give us an example like of almost like the copy that's in that post. Like when you say education, because I'm going to be real practical here, we would say, you know, look at this set of lips, whatever the tagline is. And then
I think
what would
like
you say?
going, like say if it was like Mary posting, it was like my client was looking for a natural results. She's never had lip filler before, and then maybe talk about what type of Juvederm you used for that, like list what you use, like Velour or whatever she might have used for her, and then how much of the syringe. I think that's great. And just leave it simple. Like put that in there.
So you're not going into like G prime and stuff like that. You have to keep it lay.
Keep that. You know, also always tagging Juvederm or Allergan, I think is great.
Ooh, that's a good one. You know what I mean? Okay, and talk about hashtags real quick. Can you educate us on, because like I said, Tiana does all of it. So educate us on hashtags.
I think also with Allergan, because you know we love Allergan, but making sure you don't get shadow banned by them and making sure you're using their actual hashtags. Like you can't use Botox, you should be using Botox Cosmetics, and just also like going on their website and looking to see like what they recommend. Like I know some people are making their own hashtags, but I think making sure you follow what they want us to use.
You said a lot right there. Let's unpack it. What is shadow banned?
So it's pretty much like you are not being shown on the feed. So you know what I mean? So your posts are just like not on people's feed right there.
Dang, so if you I didn't know that. I've never heard that word before.
So if you're using like Botox, just plain Botox hashtag, like sometimes it won't like get through on people's feed.
This is the most practical thing I think I've ever heard on this podcast. Because I don't have any idea of what you're talking about. Shadow ban because you're not using the appropriate hashtags. And where did you say you go to find out?
So you can go on Allergan's website.
Does that, what about like, does that
Brand
stand true?
Box.
Ooh, Allergan's Brand Box. Okay.
That's like an amazing resource for any injectors or anyone who's really in the aesthetics industry.
And using the Juvederm Allergan product. So does that hold true, the shadow ban situation, for like if I have a Scarlett from AMP? Does the same thing? Do you have to use their hashtags? Or is this just, Allergan's huge, obviously?
Yeah,
so.
I would say this is mainly me like focusing on Allergan and any of their products.
But it could be if you're a Galderma or a Dysport, maybe they have similar situation.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, okay, that is great to know.
Especially because they probably have a following just as much as like Allergan.
Yeah. So that's great to know. Like, it's cute to make up your own hashtag, but when you're using trademark names, I'm sure Botox, Juvenile, like, you have to use the tags associated with the actual manufacturer. That is great knowledge. Yeah. Okay, so back to the whole thing about the post. You're putting in the education part is how much I use, which I think is really good. We can talk about setting expectations. Let's hold that. We'll talk about that in just a second. Setting realistic expectations for clients. Gosh, I can't wait to talk about that because boy, I get on a soapbox about that one. And then what products you use, what they were actually looking for, et cetera. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea no matter what you do, but that's the education piece. You're not trying to be like, we went into the second layer and we injected, it's like, no, that's too far. Don't get overly educational because people either A, see you as arrogant, or B, just don't understand. And actually, to me, I think it would freak me out. Yeah, it freaks them out. Second layer what? My lips has layers? Like, what are you talking about? Okay, so that's great news. And then do you always put like a booking link in every post?
So for some of it, because on some things you can't really like press the link, I always like when we post something to immediately put it on your story and put the link right there. Okay. And then also like that.
The link right where though?
So you put the link in your story.
Okay. I don't really know what that means, but I'm sure people who do social media know what that means.
Yeah. So just like adding like a call to action, and then you can put your link in there.
Okay. So when you make a post, because there's a difference between a post and a story, right?
Yes.
So when you make a post, you post it and then you click on it, and that's where you do that little mail thing, and you can add a story. Okay. So what you're saying is every time you make a post, you need to add it to your story.
Yes.
Do you do that every single time?
Yes.
Yes.
I think you do it every time, and then also you can do it throughout the week. Like if you posted something on Monday, put it back on your story this week and be like,
because those are 24 hours, right?
Yeah, I have a few more openings this Friday, and then hopefully you'll get a client.
Yeah. Okay. I love it. And then she made another good point that we do that she came up with is making sure that most days the spa managers post whatever they have open in the spa. So like I've got an 11 o'clock today. You just never know who's going to see that.
And I think also with our spa managers being so busy and they end up having cancellations.
Yeah.
Like it's great. Like, hey, I had my 2 p.m. cancel last minute appointment. Who wants to come in before the weekend?
And I think this goes into, before we talk about setting expectations, a really good point of like, it doesn't have to be super fancy, right? It's more about consistency is what you always hear. So hopping on real quick, like, and just being like, hey guys, I had a 2 p.m. cancel. You don't have to have some fancy reel with music and overlays and all kinds of crap. It's just literally getting yourself out there, which feeds into consistency, right?
Yes. And I also think like as important it is to like post on your actual feed. Stories, like that's what everyone's like going through and watching.
They're flipping through the stories.
Like we always want our spa manager having something up on our pages, like story, like 24/7, like always something running. And it also is like
that's good news.
Staying on top of everyone's feed. They like see that we're active. I think it's great.
Yeah. Okay. And so that all plays into algorithms and stuff. Okay. So we have the picture, obviously, the before and after, which before and afters are like king.
Huge.
So the before and after and consistency in the before and afters. You've been really big on that. So talk about that real quick.
So I like to have our spa managers posting like at least twice a week on our pages, other before and afters, or on their stories. I think it's also great for any of their followers. Like, if I'm going to a med spa, I want to see who I'm going to, and I want to see what they've done in the past.
And then you're pretty picky about how they take the before and after.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that, consistency.
So I really want them to have great lighting. You know, we really encourage all our spa managers to use the ring light. I think it's, makes huge changes.
It's cheap, it's easy, it stands up, it's not
and then
hard.
Also just having like a solid background so you can actually see the results. Like I know some people love doing it in the chair, but I think it's better like you can see like everything, and then also when you're laying down, like
that's
your
true.
face,
the anatomy, gravity pulls down.
Different.
So how do you get the what's kind of solid background?
So if you have a wall, or also we use a curtain for ours to make everything more consistent.
Yes, the black curtain. Yeah, we literally hang. That's right. We literally hang it over the door. So people are like, I don't have space. No, literally the curtain rod is over the top of the door into the room.
Yes.
And then we just push the curtain back so then you can close the door and pull the curtain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So consistency on the pictures. And that is nice. Again, it's psychological. Like so much of marketing is psychological, which sounds kind of terrible, but that's the truth. You're just trying calls to action. I've heard you say, which are some people literally cannot stand not answering a question or a call to action. Like it's like this psychological drive. If you reach out to a lead and you're like, hey, I saw that you went to book an appointment. Here's our specials. And don't leave it at that. You need what day works for you. And like some of us can't stand it. Like me, I cannot stand it. It actually turns me off. But the majority of people, per psychology, cannot stand to not respond to a question. It really bugs them. So if they were already even thinking about doing it, you've just then pushed them over into...
Or even suggest like, hey, we have 2 openings Friday, one at 1 and 3.
Giving them an option.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like you're forcing it. Oh, I love that.
What time works best for you?
Yeah.
Are you available?
Yeah. I mean, it is crazy. Marketing is psychology.
Yeah.
So, okay, the post. We have the before and after. We have the education. We have the hashtags and the call to action.
I also think the before and afters are great, not even just for social media, but for that client. Because like you take your first one, maybe they start with Botox. And then later on, like, you talk to them about other services and you sell them on something else. And then they get Scarlett down the road. And then they do IPL and this. And then you can end up showing them like this is what you looked like
full face
when you first came in. And now look at you now.
Yeah.
After a year, it's just like, it's crazy.
I do know that we are, and I obviously don't inject that much anymore, so I don't do a lot of befores and afters, but boy, I hear that's all y'all talking about that, is getting it on everybody. And I do think that taking that time to do it, and that's one reason we love Aesthetic Record, is because pictures are part of the 6-step process for charting. So there's no reason not to get it. And for some people, it can be tough. I remember getting pictures at the beginning, and I was embarrassed literally to be like, I have to take your picture, because it just feels weird. But it is medicine. We have to have it for GFEs, so why not feed it into marketing as well? We do have a photography consent that they sign on their first appointment. So looping that in and just talking to people about, hey, we never have identifying marks. Like, it's just your lips. It's just, now, if we do a full face, we do always ask them and make sure it's okay with them.
And there are some clients that are like, hey, I'm not comfortable with you guys posting me on social media. We get it. Like, that's totally fine.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's talk about expectations. This is a good one. So, you see this kills me. And I feel like actually either I've gotten pissy about it and so my Facebook knows my brain and it won't show it to me anymore, but I see less half syringes. We've been really big in all of our groups about how it's crazy, but talk about expectations and what people do when they show lips immediately after, where they literally put in a half syringe, but they've been poked 87 times and they're swollen. Like, just talk about expectations in general and how important that is for realistic outcomes.
I think some people come in, also it's like good for people who have not came in, have never done filler before.
Right.
And their expectations are like Hailey Bieber. They're showing like some celebrity and it's like, okay, like, of course, like, we want you to be happy with your end goal.
Sure.
And we're also, like, we will do a half syringe if you really want to, but I mean, I feel like if you know what you're doing, a full syringe is going to give you that half syringe look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that. That's a really good way to put it.
Like, Mary is amazing at her lips, and like, she can do like the best natural lips, everything. I just think that you have to trust your provider, and you need to go with what they say at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to listen to you and they're going to give you what you want, but you might end up swelling, you might bruise, like, you're not going to come out like the first, like, right immediately after with these beautiful
it's a treatment
lips.
plan, like you said.
Yeah. It's like, we tell our clients, like, don't look at your lips for 2 to 3 weeks, or I would say 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You could have some lumps, like, you know what I mean? It just, like, everyone's different. Some people could be swelling, but we also have people that come in and then immediately after, lips look amazing.
Yeah.
And then, like, other people will do it and they're bruised, they have lumps.
Yeah, there's no telling. Anatomy is different. So when it comes to marketing and on social media, we are a big fan, and we will take afters of lips right away, but it's more educating on the expectation that these are immediately post lips, these are immediately after, and then hopefully showing, and I don't know if we do this or not, but showing, okay, this is right after and this is 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
But setting the expectations on your social media, it doesn't have to be all the time, that the immediate is not typically how it ends up.
No. And what's funny is, like, a lot of people will see it immediately and like, oh my God, they're too big. and then 2 weeks later they end up
Yeah.
coming down. They're like, wait, I
need
wish they were
Yeah.
immediately like they
Right,
were.
it's like getting a big
yeah.
job. Right away, you're like, oh my God. And then
Yeah.
afterwards, you're like, dang it.
Like, I wish the swelling didn't go down.
Yeah, can you, no, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so setting realistic expectations, that's a good one. So,
also, I think it's just like some people get freaked out. They're like, oh my God, is it going to be okay? Even with like other treatments like Scarlet, your face might be really, I mean, not really.
well, we use XOE,
Yeah.
but yeah, it can be red for a day.
Or like microneedling, like, you know,
Yeah.
that sometimes you can be a little bit red after for a few days. You might be
Yeah.
peeling, but it's like a week later, you're completely fine.
Yeah, it's like setting expectations so
Yeah.
people know what the quote unquote downtime is, because some people
Yes.
really will care. They really will care that they're going to leave and their face is red and they don't want to be seen in public, and that's okay. We just support people where they are, but setting those realistic expectations. So let's talk about packages real quick. So packaging things. So what are some tips and tricks on packaging services that makes sense?
I think when it comes to any of our like actual spa services, like Scarlet, Agnes, like all of those.
So the
like,
big ticket items.
Yeah, big ticket items, cool sculpting, you need to do a package.
Yeah.
Like getting one of these treatments done, like you will see results, but like I think you need to get at least 2 to 3.
They're so expensive. So
Yeah.
packaging them makes it more
laser too. Like,
Yeah.
you
it makes it more palatable
Yes.
for the client. So if we package together, so if something is $1,500 and they're going to need 2 or 3,
Yeah.
what do you like? I mean, what's a good 20%? Like, what's a good number to,
I would feel like our packages now, like we do are just our single treatments, and then we at least do 3, and then I think some of our lasers are 6 treatments.
Yeah.
And it's around a 20 to 15% discount.
15 to 20%.
'Cause, like,
Okay. Yeah.
You really we really suggest, and I think it's so
Yeah.
important to do more.
Yeah, and it also goes into consumables and stuff. So what you can discount. So like a laser, by example,
Yeah.
you got 4 million fires on a layer. There's no consumable. It doesn't. All it's costing you is the time. It's quick and simple. So the more people in the chair, it makes sense. You're not spending any money on it. If you have something that's a little more costly, like cool sculpting can be a lot more costly when it comes to actual treatments and cycles. Well, you just need to pay attention. Yeah, and your time.
It's I'm going to treat someone for 3 hours, but then I could get 6 Botox.
Yeah,
you know what
how
I
many
mean?
people could you treat in that 6 hours?
Yeah.
So that's a great point. So packages are more than just, let's bundle together and take a stab at it. But I agree with Tiana in general. 15 to 20% usually makes sense on some of those things. Again, depends on what it is. Like if it's cool sculpting, how cheap can you get before you literally you could be doing so many other things. How about memberships? So talk a little bit about memberships. And do you like memberships? Do you not like them? How do you feel about memberships?
I think that they're great if you are actually utilizing them.
Okay.
I think if our clients, our memberships are insane. They are.
I know. I think so too. They're too good.
I think it's crazy. And I also think that people don't really think about doing the membership unless the provider goes over it with them.
Yeah.
And talks to them, because it's
Okay,
hey,
that's a good point. Yeah.
You end up getting a free Scarlet out of this if you're doing this
$700
membership.
treatment. Yeah.
And I think that really educating them what really goes into all the treatments, and then making sure that your client is coming in that month, because a lot of people do these memberships, use it for 2 months, and then forget about it.
Yeah. Well, and so unfortunately,
So it's I don't know. Is
yeah,
it good for us?
that's kind of what you want. The
yeah.
goal, in theory behind memberships for gyms and everything else, the theory behind memberships as a whole is that you have a bunch of people paying for, Netflix, and they literally watch Netflix, once a year. Or a gym membership is a better example, and they stop coming.
Yeah.
Everyone picks up memberships January 1. They sign these 12-month contracts. They have all these really good intentions, and then by February they're not going anymore.
Yeah.
And the gym is making money off those memberships. So it's not any different in a med spa. So I do think that reaching out to them and having them come back in is perplexing, because yes, you want them to come in because in theory your membership isn't losing you money. So it's all about consumable cost and how, you don't want to lose money on your membership by any stretch. But on the second, the more times people visit, and you've said this before, the more times people visit a med spa, the more likely they are to take part in other services.
Yes.
So we always call Botox a gateway drug, because when they come in 3 months later, and then they're loving how their Botox looks, and then all of a sudden, as soon as you get one of these treatments, you just can't help but stare at the mirror a little bit more.
Yeah.
And this isn't a vain or arrogance or it's literally just you're looking and you're like, man, you know, I've always hated that my right cheek is so much higher than my left. Like it just always has bugged me. Doesn't mean you have to get these crazy sharp cheeks that are way ridiculous. You literally just want to balance out your face. So all of a sudden you're like, hey, how much would it be for, you know, XYZ? Well, if you're on membership, do you get a discount on that or whatever the case is? Like, so the more times you see them. So I think there's value in bringing them in every month because they get exposed over and over again. What do they say? 7 times. It takes 7 exposures before people will buy certain things. So,
and I also think our memberships what's great about ours is we do offer like an additional 20% off if you're on this tier or that tier, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's great. And also when you're in there, like laser, I think that's like a great thing. Like you do your armpits and you see the results and then you're like, wait, what else can I do?
Yeah, like where else can I not shave?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're bringing up a good point.
I think it's
doing things in the memberships that lead into other things.
Yes.
So instead of just throwing spaghetti at the wall and being like, yeah, 10% off this, $8 a unit, 5% off this, it's like being a little strategic with any sale, right?
Yeah.
So something that will lead into something else. Instead of just giving stuff away, I think is.
And I do think some of our clients that are on our memberships, they become so obsessed that they get their friends involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
word of mouth. It's like
That's
word
a
of
good
mouth
point. Yeah.
from that because they're like, wait, this is great. Like, how are other people not doing this?
Yeah.
So I think it's a great thing with word of mouth, and then we just see them so much more.
Yeah.
If they're not using their membership, like what's under it, but they're starting to come for other services.
So I like that. A very practical tip of are you looking at who's on your membership and are you encouraging them to come in? Because the mentality around memberships has really been they don't come in, it's mailbox money, and it's like that's actually not the point of a membership. You really should be getting them in our med spa specific space because it exposes them over and over again to different services. And then varying the services within your memberships. I remember we were talking about it because like in the summer some things don't make as much sense, right? You're not getting photo facials in the summer or Scarlett as much. So you need to have other options. Maybe it's laser hair removal, maybe it's something else, so that then in the winter they have something else to look to or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that. Okay. So memberships, we're a big fan of them. Tiana always has been. Our marketing team always has been. And again, that's a lot of, it's hard, I hear you saying, to get them across in their value on social media because it's a lot of usually numbers and information and people are just flipping. They're scrolling.
Yeah.
So the provider really needs to be the one to market it to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think when you get them in the med spa and actually in the room, like having that, you know what I mean, the relationship and like building that relationship is huge.
Yeah.
They want that personal touch with their provider.
Yes.
They want them to reach out like, hey, how are your lips looking? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like a week from
to
now.
feel like they care.
Or if
because
they're
it is
like,
medicine. I mean, it's your face. And I feel like we are battling. It's not as bad as it used to be, or maybe we're just educating. We're doing all the things that Tiana says, and so I'm not feeling it as much, but I don't feel as much like a salesperson. You're not upselling them on cheek filler. It's do they have an issue with their cheeks? And then you want them to get their cheeks done if they have a problem with it. But it's starting with that relationship and that trust and the actual desire of the practice of medicine to make them better, healthier, more confident, whatever the case may be. So much of aesthetics is a mental game. It's not like you need Botox. It's not a medical need, but confidence is a medical need. I mean, that you may feeling good about yourself is how you're entitled.
What do they say about the resting bitch face with the Botox?
What about it? Oh yeah, if I don't always about the fact that literally when you have Botox, people literally look at you and assume you're happier and respond to you differently. It's true. I mean, when I rested my face, not only was my flipping 11s just looking like, Grand Canyon, I just looked like an asshole. And so it's like literally the approachability, everything goes completely different when you just have a brighter, more relaxed look on your face. And so people then approach you differently. They approach you more, then therefore you have more conversation. I mean, it's all a mental health game, and that is medicine, and that is the point. So, but it does start with
you want to enhance your
beauty. Exactly. And that does start with trusting the provider to not be selling you something. So I think all 100%. The things that Tiana is talking about and all the things that she has led us to do and our marketing team has led us to do has helped us break down that barrier to where I'm confident as a provider, no, this is what I recommend. It's not about selling you something. You said you don't like this, this, and this. This is my recommendation based on my experience. And it's a two-way street of a relationship of trust and being able to do well. So, okay, that is awesome. So the last thing I wanted to get into before we close this up is financing. So we put and I'll talk a little bit about this. So we have Cherry. I think we have now Klarna. Like you can do Care Credit. Like you can use Care Credit for cosmetics. I don't believe there's any HSAs out there that are approving of this for non-medical purposes, but if someone presents a card and it's an HSA card, it's none of my business. If it swipes, it swipes, but we do not encourage that at all. But that is on the consumer. Yeah. But I do educate people every time they do that. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that your doesn't cover this, but I wouldn't know. I'm not your HSA provider. Yeah. But having different options for financing is really important. And then we put those options out there pretty regularly. I think we've added them to all of our booking appointments and things like that. So do you encourage people to put that stuff out there, or do you think that makes it feel more like a salesy thing, or how do you feel about that?
Great. Okay. I think, some people come in also, they're like, all right, I just got my lips done. I really want to do my cheeks, but I need to wait. Yeah. But like once we talk about our Cherry plan, and then also I know Allergan's working on
Alipay Cherry through Cherry, where they can actually get Cherry through Allergan, and that I'm glad you brought that up. Cherry, Care Credit, all of those, the way it works is obviously they're taking on the risk of the client paying them the money. So let's say that's $1,000. They use Cherry. We get the $1,000 minus some fee, somewhere between typically 3 and 6%, which can sound like a lot, but it's $30 to $60 on $1,000. That is a lot, but the reason people are like, why? To do what? Because they're taking on the risk. If the client decides to not pay them, I already got my money. So they're taking on the risk of not being paid and being on a payment plan. So that's how any of those things work, and why there's a fee is because they're taking on the risk that you don't pay them, and you don't have to worry about that. You get all of your money up front. So there's a lot of value in doing those, and then they have 3 months to pay Cherry. But again, if they don't pay them after a month, it's no skin off your back. Yeah. That's why you're paying those fees, because I hear all the time people, it's just like, it's highway robbery. I'm like, no, it's not. If you've ever had to chase somebody down for $500, you're going to spend a lot more money chasing somebody down than you are on the 500. Then is it worth it? Yeah. So Cherry is a good way for us to do it. A lot of times, if it's 3 months or less payments, they'll break it up into 3 payments, and it's no interest a lot of times. Yeah. It also makes really good sense for people for like Botox and things like that, or laser, or like a scarlet treatment, or cool sculpting, or one of those things that you can space out 2, 3, 4 months so that you pay it off, no interest, and then you're either ready to do it again or whatever for budgeting purposes. So we do put those out there because
we do advertise that we have Cherry. Yeah. You know what I mean? We also want our clients to educate them on say if you really do want to do Botox and filler at the same time, get it done, Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And get that whole look now. Yeah. I think we do a good job of creating treatment plans that make sense for people's budgets. Yeah. But Mary always makes the comment of getting your mind out of people's wallets. And it's a balance there of okay, I literally only have $1,000 that I could probably spend through the end of the year because Christmas is coming up, whatever. Okay, well, anybody who does their finances, it's cash flow. You can spend $350 a month for 3 months, or you can spend $1,000 now. It's a very personal decision, but having those options certainly increases the likelihood that someone will go forward with the treatment or be able to afford it, period.
Yeah. And just making them feel comfortable. We don't want to put anyone in a bad situation financially.
We don't push it. But the bottom line is if you can spread payments out for people, typically that puts them in a better spot. So we do advertise those. Okay, good. That's good to know. Klarna and some of those things that come through the aesthetic record, I think people can Klarna themselves to death. Again, that's where Mary's statement of get your mind out of their wallet, not really our business. This is the recommendation. We can make a plan over a year. We can make a plan over 2 years. Things don't disappear and are gone in 6 months or even a year. So you can space out those. We have that advantage. So it's good to know. We do market that. We put that out. And again, if you couple that, I think everything that Tiana says all goes together. When you couple that with education, you couple that with treatment plans, you couple that with relationships, then the whole cycle and circle is not salesy. It's not trying to sell somebody anything. You're not crossing any lines as a medical provider. It's painting an entire picture. But you really can't take any one piece of that cycle out or circle without putting that whole thing at risk.
Yeah.
I feel like, and making it feel more like a sales pitch. So, okay, that was a lot of information. And, you know, sometimes we start these podcasts and we really don't know where it's going to go. I'm like, me and marketing are going to sit down and let's see what happens. I feel like we got some really solid practical things out of this. Like, I did not know about the shadow thing, shadow ban or whatever it was you called it, hashtags, using Cherry, like packages, treatment plans, 15 to 20%. People always ask that, like, what do you do for the other services? And it's good to, like, I helped create some of those, but Tiana has the experience, and that 20% mark, 15% mark, depending on what it is, really seems to be kind of that really solid. And then talk real quick, what is your opinion on transparency of pricing? Like transparency of pricing. So like,
I think
come get a consult, but like you have no freaking idea. How do you feel about that?
I think that you should have your pricing available to any clients.
I agree.
Like, it's also saves you like so many, you know what I mean?
For someone who thinks they're going to spend $12 or some whatever,
I think it saves like a lot of questions and time. Like if someone can like see like, oh, it's only X amount, like, okay, I thought it was going to be a lot more.
Yeah.
Or just like also knowing what to expect. Like I wouldn't want to go to an appointment and be like shocked.
Yeah.
And then you're in that appointment and then you might feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's a waste of time, to your point. Yeah. And
so I think it's really important. I mean, I think on all of our med spa pages, like we have our price menu on there for everything.
Yeah.
For our spa services, for our weight loss, for medical tourism, just for everything.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
I think you should put it available if it's not on your social media. Maybe it's on your website.
A menu
or also,
link
like,
or something.
having a QR link if you're starting to DM someone and maybe you don't want it out there on your page, then you can actually send it to them individually.
Yeah.
Just
have it be
having
accessible.
It there.
Because I go and look for pricing on literally. I'm one of those people. Like I can't stand even. I mean, I don't care buying a pool. I want to have a range. I want to be like, give me a ballpark. I cannot stand when it's like, well, and I'm like, that just opens the door for that sales.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm real salty about this right now, clearly, with people. You know, we literally got this small story, literally got quotes on pools, and they ranged from 80 grand to 170.
Yeah.
I'm like, that should be illegal. You should not be allowed to do that. Like that's just
wrong.
It's just wrong. And so I'm just so salty on like so many of those. Oh, I'll have to come see. Oh yeah, it's $150. And then 2 days later for someone else it's $250. It's like, I just think that pricing should be transparent, period. And like with very little room for consultative, like if you put pools in, you know the factors. Price out the factors, and it just drives me nuts. And that's just one example. I'll stop talking. Anyway, okay, Tiana, thank you so much for being on here. We appreciate it, and we hope that you guys have gotten some tidbits from this. Do you have some stuff on our Patreon, marketing stuff?
I think we have some stuff if it's from me or also Vanessa has some things.
Okay, that's okay, great. So we have some stuff. Like I'm building websites.
I think we just did something about MailChimp recently. So
okay, on email marketing, texting. Vanessa has stuff up there about building a simple website with GoDaddy. Like you guys would be shocked on some of these. Like you go to a med spa's website and it seems so beautiful, and it's like, no, it's literally a couple landing pages and a GoDaddy free site that took an hour.
And I think there's other websites, not just GoDaddy, who offer like free websites for you, and they're so easy.
To make and create. So real practical stuff on our Patreon. It's www.patreon.com/smiley aesthetics. There's a lot of free stuff, and there's also some stuff from our for paid. We put stuff out multiple times a week from legal, clinical, business, compliance, marketing, just all kinds of different things, trying to help elevate the community and really allow independent medical providers to own and operate their own businesses successfully without honestly being gouged and being taken advantage of, because we just don't have the training and the skill set to recognize when someone promises us the world and they be lying. So find us on Patreon. You can listen to this podcast obviously on YouTube if you're watching it. If you're not, we're on any of the other platforms.
Spotify.
Yeah, I'm supposed to say like Apple, Spotify. I'm supposed to say all the ones, whatever. Wherever you listen to a podcast, there we are. Yeah, like and subscribe. Again, if you like any of our marketing or social media, you can find us Smiley Aesthetics. We're all over the place. Check out some of the stuff that Tiana does. It's pretty self-explanatory when you see the consistency of what our marketing team does. We have a clear pathway, and she has increased our spa sales in our spas month over month since she started. Every single month has gotten better. I don't think we've had a single down month except maybe December, which was not relevant to marketing. It was part of the market. Every single other month, our spa sales have increased. So we've really focused in our med spas in particular. So looking at our marketing and the consistency there can really teach you a lot doing some of that self-education. So if you have any questions specific for Tiana, you can reach out to marketing@smileyesthetics.com. You can comment on any of these videos. We love putting more content.
Hearing from everyone too.
And putting more content out there that's relevant to you guys. So we had a lot of questions about social media, what we decide to put where and when, and so that's what prompted this, and we love to do that. So anyways, we'll see you next time on another episode, and thank you so much.